What's going on, good people? It's your boy, the Warrior Prince, back at it again. Hmm. So, I've been, I was supposed to do this video a few days ago, and I kept postponing it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do the video as is. I was preparing certain things, but like I said, I kept postponing it, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the video as is. And this video title is called "Are We as African American Men Punch Drunk?" or "The African American Man is Punch Drunk, and it's time for us to heal." Now, get everything going on right here. What does it mean to be punch drunk? Well, it's a term used uh, in boxing or in fighting. Is that when you've taken so many hits, um, you just kind of get into a drunk like, um, you kind of get into a drunk like stage, um, to where you're wobbly, you're disoriented, you know. Plus, the other part of that is when you become punch drunk, a lot of times you become gun shy. So you're actually in a perpetual stage of frozenness, always anticipating someone throwing a lick at you, always anticipating someone attacking you. And like I said, it comes from being within so many fights in your life. And African American men have been in a lot of fights, many in which we did not start. Our very image in this country, from the time that we were brought to this land in captivity to the time that we was freed, has always been under attack. When we were brought to this land as slaves, our image of are we human was attacked. So they seen us as less than human, 3/4 of a person, 3/5 of a person. I'm sorry. They said that we were incapable of learning, that we were just a bunch of savages. So what they did is that they purposely put certain things in place, um, so that we wouldn't be educated. After slavery, throughout the course of the trauma of slavery and after slavery, there was a particular movie that was put out, and it was called The Birth of a Nation. In The Birth of a Nation, you had an actor, he was in blackface, and he portrayed us as being savages, wanting to rape white women, just beast, couldn't control our urges, all of these things. So our image, we went from being ignorant, with the inability to learn, to being savages and wanting to rape, to wanting to, you know, do things to white women. I'm trying to be careful about using certain words because that YouTube algorithm is something else. However, let me put this on silent. I keep forgetting to put my phone on silent. We went from being all of that to being systematically targeted. Since they couldn't control us anymore, they decided to wipe us out. And then they did something that was even worse. They turned our own sister in bondage against us in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. So not only did we have white society and white America attacking us and telling us that we were worthless, beasts, sex crazed, but they turned our own sister in bondage against us, the one that they oppressed and they brought here to be a concubine. They enlisted her help. And for our continued subjugation and oppression, they gave her trinkets because they knew that without her, we could not escape, we could not build a nation. And they knew to give it to her because she was never any threat. She wasn't going to change the environment. She was going to succumb to the environment. So what has that left us now as African American men? That's left us punch drunk. It's left us punch drunk. We've been in a fight for 400 years. And even when people don't mean us any harm, we take it as someone means us harm. We walk around guarded. And we should be guarded to a certain extent. But it's left us in a frozen state. So how do we get past this? And I'm not going to make this a long live, but how do we get past this? Well, we always have a roadmap back to our original state. But they gave us the image of God in their image. So they purposely whitewashed the Most High. They gave us the blonde-haired, blue-eyed version of Jesus, of Yahshua, so that when we came into our own, and that if we started to, for lack of a better term, hate them, we would in turn hate our own God. That's the psychological warfare that they played on us. So it makes us not even want to go back to the manuscript or the path back, what the Most High commanded Moshe to do. He said, write this down because they're going to go astray and they're going to go into captivity. So they're going to need a roadmap back. They're going to need a blueprint back. And I'm going to send my only begotten to die so that all their sins with the shedding of blood may be forgiven. But because they have tainted the image of the Most High, when we think about salvation, when we think about submission to the word of God, we see the white man's image and we shy away from it. That's why a lot of brothers turn Muslim. That's why a lot of brothers turn to Islam, not realizing that even that religion has been whitewashed. Christianity was used to oppress us. That's why most black men shun Christianity. And there's no safe haven in the churches. Because when you go in the churches, you see a man towering above the whole congregation and forcing other men to be in submission and putting a tax on other men that they call a tithe. And it's not godly. It's not godly. So there is no rest for the African American man. No matter where he goes, he runs into oppression and trouble within this nation. So what do we do? How do we get out of this? Well, for one, we have to stop calling him Jesus and start calling him Yahshua. Calling him Yahshua disconnects us from the Eurocentric propaganda of God. And it reconnects us back to the African-centered God. Because make no mistake about it, the Hebrews are African. We have to go to counseling. We have to get healed. We have to get healed. We're so used to not being able to trust is that we can't even enjoy life fully because of that inability to trust. When one of us attains something, usually our friends or so-called friends or family are jealous of it. Also, when one of us attains something, we usually look down on other people. We have to stop it. In order for us to be able to properly heal, we have to come together as a nation under God, under the Most High, under Yahuwah, through Yahshua. We have to heal all our past trauma. It is not our fault. We didn't do it. But just as a child, it's not a child's fault that they grew up in a family environment that was toxic, or one parent or both parents didn't have the ability to properly parent. So the child went through unnecessary hurt. It's not that child's fault, but it is that child's responsibility to fix it when it's time for them to fix it. And that's our problem. We sit and we say this happened to us, but it's time for us to fix it. We can't control what was done to us, but we can control our output. We can control our future. Some of us, when I talk about leaving this nation, we shun it. We speak against it. We say that it's foolishness. America is our home, but it's not. America is our land of captivity. It's never been our home. We were brought here to be the burden bearers of this nation. We were never brought here to be equal to the white man. We were brought here to enrich the white man's pockets. The women were never brought here to be equal to the white woman. She was brought here to enrich the white man's pockets. She was brought here to be a concubine to him and to be a heifer. If you don't know what a heifer is, it's a female cow. To reproduce for capitalism. I have some white friends, they may not like this, but I don't care. If you don't like it, don't be my friend no more. No one's coming down on you. I'm just talking about what happened. And I'm talking about my people and my brethren and what we need to do. We have to understand something, that the African American woman has her own trauma. And part of that trauma that she's suffering is that she was turned against you. She was told that she could never trust in you. So if you marry an African American woman, you're going to constantly and consistently be constantly trying to prove yourself to her, because she's fulfilling her programming, and her programming that the white man did to her was to say, you cannot trust in him, because it's pivotal for her to place her trust in you, because that means she comes up under your obedience and your submission to your authority so you can properly build. Okay. I know that we see a lot of stuff online with Kevin Samuels. There's even a petition going out to try to take him off social media because a lot of people don't like what he say. Now, I think Kevin Samuels approached it from a secular point of view. He talks about women's desires and women's expectations that are off, which is true. But the truth of the matter is all that could be solved if women will understand that their role, African American women will understand that their role is to aid a man, not a man just taking care of you and giving you this gracious life, this wonderful life. But to deprogram a woman is almost it's next to difficult. The only way that you're going to change them is by changing the environment. The way that you change the environment, it doesn't even have to be a change that happened to the overall dominant society. But within the African American community, you can change the environment. But in order for a man to change the environment, he must first learn who he is. He must first learn his purpose. He must first be healed. Then he can start cultivating his environment. He must first come out of survivor mode and enter into thriving mode. He must first do that. When he comes out of survivor mode, then he can cultivate and go into thriving mode. And when you go into thriving mode, you're going to pick a mate according to her ability to assist you. That changes the environment, because there will be a lot of women that will not be picked. With that being said, you have to control your urges as a man, your sexual urges. You can't not walk by the flesh, but by the spirit. You have to be guided by God's unchanging hand. But the ultimate goal for every African-American man should be leaving. You cannot stay in the place of the enslavement or the imprisonment of your forefathers. You can't. So you got to leave. But in order for you to understand that, you got to first know who you are. With that being said, I'm bringing this video to a close. Thank you guys for tuning into my live stream, and Yahoo will bless you.